All right. Great morning, great morning, great morning. Welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Meetup. I want to ask you guys a quick question before we get started. How many people here struggle with marketing? Either you struggle with marketing, great morning, welcome to another episode of the Monday Morning Meetup. I want to ask you guys, sounds like I got an echo going there. Either you struggle with marketing or you'd like to learn more about marketing, or you're just like me, you love marketing. So which of those categories do you fall in? Either you struggle with marketing, you'd like to learn more about marketing, or you love marketing. If you fall into any one of those categories, today we've got a great guest for us here on the MMM, the Monday Morning Meetup. And we're going to go into just that. We're going to talk about marketing. We're going to talk about how you can use basic marketing tactics to sell more of your books, to sell more of your courses, to sell more of yourself. Because marketing is all about selling yourself as well. So we'll jump into that. And before we get started, I want to actually go into our quote really quickly. And let's see here. Our quote that we've shared with each other. As you guys know, Caroline and myself, we share quotes with one another. So our quote for today is: marketing is telling the planet, telling the world that you're a rock star. Content marketing is showing the world you are one. So marketing is telling the world you're a rock star. Content marketing is showing the world that you are one. All right. And this is from Robert Ross, Chief Strategy Officer at the Content Advisory. I'm going to share this in the actual chat here. You guys should be able to see it here in just a moment. Let me know if you can. All right. Awesome. Right. There you go. So you should have that. So marketing is telling the world that you are a rock star. Content marketing is showing the world that you are one. All right. And again, that's by Robert Ross, Chief Strategy Officer at the Content Advisory. All right. So let's jump into this. So by show of hands, if you're just coming in, right, you could even post them to the chat box. Let me know which of these groups you fall into. Number one, you are afraid of marketing, right? You don't know anything about it. You'd love to know more about it, right? Number two, you'd like to get to know more about marketing so that you could sell more of your books, more of your courses, more of yourself. Number three, you totally love marketing, right? Number one, you hate marketing. Number two, you'd like to get to know a little bit more about marketing, all right? And number three, you totally love it. You're a fan of it. You study all the marketing greats. Right? You hope to become a marketing great yourself. You hope to have your name on a marketing greats wall of fame up there at one point, right? So I see a lot of twos coming in. So most of you guys fall in that middle right there, right? You want to know more about marketing. And Barbara says, I hate marketing, hired a marketing team, right? Know more about marketing and studying it, says Gary. All right, really cool, really cool. So Caroline, how's your day going so far?
Hi, Ty, great, thank you.
Right,
thank you everyone for all the lovely messages after Monday. Thank you.
That's I let everyone know. Really, I hope you didn't mind, but I let everyone know that you and Indy were not feeling too hot.
Yeah. Well, Indy hasn't got COVID. He's still unwell anymore. He had it, but I thought I had it, but just extreme migraine, you know. But I know what it is. It's not. It's I'm going through, for those ladies in the room, I'm going through some extreme menopause, physical and mental symptoms at the moment. So and headaches are part of those. So I'm just trying to manage that naturally. This thing's been around for a while for me, but it's hitting. I mean, this thing can get really, really interesting for people. So one of my challenges is to manage it naturally. And if I can overcome that, I can overcome anything, unless I just sort of give in at some stage and get some get some help. So I'm sort of using lots of natural supplements and things. So I think the migraines must be from that, because I just had an eye test. That's all good. You know, I'm all good in everything else. So yeah, on Monday I could hardly open my eyes. It was so bad. So I thought, you guys don't need that. So thank you for holding the fort, Ty, because you also had the lurgy too, didn't you?
Yeah, on Monday actually, and yesterday I wasn't feeling too good. Yesterday was it yesterday? Monday, really wasn't feeling too well. But I'm back. I am the ultimate warrior, right? When I say warrior, I'm not talking about WORRY. I'm talking about WARRIOR. Like kick shit in the ass when something happens. That's what I'm talking about, warrior. And that's the way I approach things. You know, whenever I get sick, because I do get sick like everyone else every once in a while, and I'll have my moments sometimes when I'm like, oh my God, woe is me. But then I'm right back at it. I'm like, Ty, what are you doing? Like, this is not you. Historically, this has not been you. And it's look, the mind has healing properties, whether you believe it or not. Because as soon as I get back into that mode and I remember who I am, like I might have this pity party for myself for an hour or two or whatever. Or my wife might be like, you know, you're the biggest crybaby ever. And that's all it takes. My foolish pride, right, allows me to be like, not me. And then I just kick myself. I just go, listen, here's my trick. I'm going to tell you guys what it is. All right. Number one, I remember things in the past that I've overcome, whatever it might have been. It could be anything, right? Things in the past that I've overcome. And then most importantly, this is the biggest thing. I just go in and I remind myself to go listen to personal development. And that's after I'm listening to a Les Brown, or I'm listening to whatever it might be. I might even listen to some marketing / personal development, some Dan Kennedy, right? I might go listen to some Dan Henry, who's a newer marketing guy, right? Who's a little bit of a egomaniac. But for an hour of that, and you're back on track. I'm back on track. And you remember, it's all about remembering who you are, number one, and what you come from. And then at that point, you're undefeatable, right? So you're back on the road to health. Wellness.
It's true. It's all mindset. Everything is. I mean, you need to get help if you need help.
Yes.
You know, and something like, you know, when women get to a certain stage in life, some people sort of flow through it without any issues. That's like a chemical imbalance. Yeah. So, you know, I would recommend that people, if they're struggling, they get help. But I think it's more about just taking stock quickly. I always take stock quickly and move forward, because I'm not going to let anything stop me from getting to where I want to get to. But it's also about it was a good way of addressing, okay, let's just build in a bit more exercise, you know, the practical things, like you say, listen to some stuff, meditate. Some of these things I let slip because I get so carried away working, because I love working on my business so much that I don't think, oh my God.
So, right, guys, we talk about the different seasons, right? So,
seasons. Yeah, I saw that. So it's sort of a season where you can still do everything you want to do.
Yeah.
You're a warrior, more than a warrior, you know, but you then maybe it might be in this season, you just need to build in a little bit more self-care than maybe you did 3 years ago or something. But it's all good. It's all, you know, there's you know, it's all really, really good. But I think that people often feel they can't talk about it. I mean, honestly, this thing is I know we had a lawyer where I used to work, who was one of the most badass lawyers out there in the city, who basically tried to quit when she was going through this, because she just couldn't cope. You know, but fortunately she was referred for a bit of a medical just to give us some help. They knew this was out of character, and then she pushed forward and everything. So this sort of hits people sometimes. But I was talking to Shannon about it yesterday. We was our Shannon here, and I don't know if she's on now. And we were saying that we need to write a funny book about it as well. You've got to sort of see the funny side, because there's lots of things about it that would make a great, I mean, there's been many books on this topic, but great
and it would help other people to cope.
And help other people. Yeah. I'm not going to start joining a group or setting one up, and I'm not very experienced at this, but you know, there must be something we can do to share and help people. But there's lots of help and content out there, but it's just sort of recognizing, okay, I'm out of whack, out of character, this is what I need to do. And that's really important. And it's no different to having a business project
Yeah.
where something goes wrong, you know, disaster hits, and then you have to pivot, do things differently, set up processes, change course. You know, it's all just part of that resilience muscle, isn't it? And the way that you approach it when if you're feeling unwell, it's about just strategies for all these things, because everyone's got a ton of things going on.
Everyone,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
everyone
the mistake.
has.
Like, we kind of think that we don't, like, we think that we're doing with something by ourselves alone. I do want to go back and kind of double back on something and hammer on the importance of getting help, like professional help, if you are going through something, right? Whether it's mental or physical, that is super important. Yes, you want to be strong within yourself, but you also want to be smart, right?
Yeah.
So if you do know that you need to get medical help or professional assistance, you definitely do that. So don't think that that's what I'm saying when I say I'm being strong. I'm being strong because I know that it's a two-part game, right? It's like sending your children to school. It's not just on the teachers to teach and educate and raise and care for your kids. It's a two-part game. It's part of a household. So, right? So does that make sense? Let me know in the chat box if that makes sense, guys. So making sure that you properly get the help that you should get.
It's so true, isn't it? For all aspects of life, you get help, whether it's medical, whether it's therapy, whether it's supplements, whatever it is. I mean, I've fortunately, because of my previous network marketing business, I've got access to the best supplements out there. So, you know, it is manageable. But even things like just asking it from a business point of view as well, if you're struggling in your business, asking for some help. We had somebody in the community that just sort of, I think they put a post on that they were struggling, so we sort of jumped straight on in the community to sort of give them a hand because they needed some help in the business. Because often we don't want to ask for help because we think, okay, I've got a program, or I've been doing this for a few years, you know. So it's great to be, and I tell you, the expertise in our community in this business is phenomenal. And I've always been somebody that doesn't ask for help, and I'm getting better at that. You know,
raise your hand if that's part of you, because that's me right there, right? So I used to be one of those, again, foolish pride. My foolish pride. I'm not saying that your foolish pride, Caroline. My foolish pride, right, used to just be like, oh, Ty, don't ask, right? So, and I think that's the trait of an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And when you look at people that have sort of made it big, they've had a ton of help.
Yeah.
You know, even from outsourcing in your business to getting help with your marketing. If you think that that's something that you find difficult, which is what we're going to talk about today, marketing, and you know, all the other live stuff as well. It's a good thing to ask for help, and successful people do that. But the British approach to that is very much you just keep yourself to yourself, you get through it yourself. So I'm getting better at it. You know, we don't, in America, we always say in Britain that, and this is probably inaccurate data, that in America, so many people have therapists, but in the UK, we, you know, let's sort of, you know, chum up and be brave. A lot of people don't reach out for that sort of help. I've never had a therapist.
You know, in the Black community too, it's something that traditionally before,
culturally, it's
going to a therapist or asking for help was a sign of, I mean, look, there's a lot of misinformation, right? And there's a lot of things that culturally are passed down. But before, going for help or going to a therapist was something that was shunned on.
Yeah, ditto for the Indian community and the kids side, and so yeah, I think it is about whatever that help is, and it could be talking to a close friend, and you know, but
talking to yourself if you need to. Hell, talk to yourself every once in a while, right?
I do that a lot, and then I do need therapy. Walking down the street, hey Caroline, we do. But yeah, it is about those sort of coping mechanisms, isn't it? Because it's a strength to reach out and ask for help, not a weakness. In all areas, you know, and that's a muscle we could do even better at practicing, I think. Amongst us, yeah. So all good.
Speaking of asking for help, right? I want to introduce our guest today.
Great lead.
He
Great
is
lead-in.
someone that is the ultimate helper. And if you guys are part of a community, you've seen him, you've gotten help from him. I've gotten help from him. Caroline's gotten help from him. I think everyone on the team has gotten help from him. I want to welcome, and I always screw it. This guy's got the easiest last name to pronounce here. But I used to screw it up. I'm going to get it right. The one and only marketing expert, Willie Lanley. Did I get it right this time?
You were about 95.5% there. Willie Laney, but yeah.
Laney. Yeah.
Willie Laney. There we go.
Or anything else.
Willie Laney. It's because it rolls off the tongue in a different way. I think that's why.
It definitely does. I need help with that.
It's that mental thing. You got it in your head now.
Right. I try to add an L to his name all the time. And look, we've known each other for years.
Laney, yeah.
Willie's part of a team. You guys have seen him around. We're talking back and forth multiple times a week. We're on Zoom, and I still can't get the damn guy's name right. One day, Willie, one day, I promise I'm gonna work on it.
And Willie is definitely the master marketer. He's just fantastic at all aspects of our marketing. So yeah, and we're always asking him for help for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I want to kind of introduce you, Willie, really quickly. I love marketing. This is what I came up on, is the psychology behind marketing, and studying like all of the greats and reading all the books and listening to all of the audios. When we would go on trips, I would drive my wife and my family crazy because I would take these marketing audios and download them into a CD and put them in the car, and we'd listen to 8-9 hours of marketing audios while we're driving to Disney World and while we're driving back and back in the house. And I just love it. So when I met Willie, I think Willie equally loves it as much. So he's someone that I can geek out on when we're talking about marketing, and we can look at pages, and we can talk about conversion rates. We can talk about optimization rates. We can talk about headlines and sub-headlines, and we can talk about bullet points, and we can talk about just all of this stuff. And I see that you like really love marketing. You study it, man. You have almost every course that's out there, right? There's anything that I'm looking for, I could say, hey, Willie, do you have this, right? And he's like, oh yeah. Or I could say, hey, I just sent him a page last night, a web page, and I'm like, hey, look at how they're positioning this thing. Look at the offer. Look at how they're using the testimonials, right? All of this is part of marketing, the placement of it. Look at what they're pricing this offer at. Look at what's included in this offer. This morning I wake up and he's like, I didn't see that page, but you know that's a model off of the old Frank Kern approach. And if those of you who study marketing, you know that Frank Kern is one of the greatest of the great online marketers. So Willie, quick question. We know a little bit about your background, right? You've been in the military. You've got, 3 kids. You've been married. You've got an amazing wife. You live up in that Maryland, Washington, D.C. area. How did you get started with marketing? I never asked you that. I don't think we ever got to that point.
Yeah, it's like one of those random things, like sometimes where life kind of gets you in a position that you never even really thought through. Like Todd mentioned, I was in the military, then I was in the medical field, and I was just working as an X-ray tech, doing MRIs, all the typical, as far away from marketing as you can expect. And I was doing martial arts at that time, and I was doing jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, some people are familiar with that. And I was just following this guy who was actually, coincidentally, I was in Pittsburgh area and he was in the Maryland area, and he had a newsletter way back when, this like 2005-ish.
Was it Matt Fury?
No, well, he was connected with Matt Fury. His name is Lloyd Urban, and he's in the Spring, Maryland area. And it was just an email. He just had a daily email that would go out. And then he called himself like the grappling coach or something simple like that. Back in it's just a newsletter. It's a free newsletter. And you just give them your name, your email address, and you're on the list. And I would just follow that. And then life being what it was, around 2005, my wife and I actually moved to the Maryland, D.C. area. And my sister lived near where he was at. So I moved down about a month before myself and my wife did. And I started going to his school. And lo and behold, he was actually, they're like, hey, this guy Lloyd, he's a millionaire. I'm like, what are you talking about, a millionaire? And it's like, he was like making like $10 million a year. But it wasn't just with his school. They're like, yeah, he does this like internet marketing thing. Mm-hmm. And of all things, and it made sense looking back, like he had his emails, he was doing this, he was building a list. He was in a space where, it just most people would say a lot of jocks, a lot of guys who are just physically fit, but they're as far away, they're gym rats. And that's what it was really at. But this guy was doing this marketing stuff. And then I was like, well, start looking at what he was doing. He's following this guy named Dan Kennedy, as all of you or most of you may know, or I know Ty knows for sure, who's like another one of those internet marketing great guys. And he was like a regional guy for Dan Kennedy. And that just kind of gave me the bug. And I kind of got bit by that. And I started looking into internet marketing. It just kind of made sense. And roughly that same time, I was starting my own clothing company. Mm-hmm. So of course, when I learned the online stuff, the website stuff, and this is like before Amazon, before Shopify, it's like literally getting in a U-Haul van, going down to port in Baltimore and getting like a truckload of stuff, packing it up at your house and sending it out. That got old quick. And then being in the martial arts, I kind of got into instructional DVDs. So that tells you how long ago that was with DVDs. I'm like, hey, gotta be a better way than doing that. Then there was this online thing. It's like, well, hey, you can make a website. And I was like, okay, what's a website? And I had to find, back then it was like Optimized Press was the big platform back in the day. And it's like, just saw what somebody was doing, built my first website. It was like a 72-page website with 40 videos, just one button going to the next, but it was like 72 pages of total. And that got me into this membership thing where, hey, I could just sell this as a membership. And that kind of just started the whole journey. So it was kind of like the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Like I kind of showed up and like got involved with the stuff based off of some interests I had that were completely unrelated. But as most of us here, of course, you start seeing something, it starts to make sense. You want to learn more about it. And to Ty's point, I study and read everything. And I've always done that. I had to reverse engineer everything from the beginning, starting out. So the more you read, the more you study, the more you just kind of immerse yourself in stuff. I would equate it to like learning a foreign language. Like the more you hear it, the more you speak it, the more you do it, the better you become at it. And it just, once you go into that, you probably never go back. And we're all of course bitten by the bug here. So yeah, it's kind of random events, but you can see the linear progression there as well.
And it all made sense. So speaking of Matt Fury, so you mentioned two names, right? That are like, they're looked at like the OGs of marketing. So Matt Fury, I just bought about 3 weeks ago on eBay. I went in and bought a bunch of Matt Fury stuff. I bought his Zero Resistance Wealth, which was actually on DVD. Now I got to find a DVD player to play it. But that was the only format, right? I actually had that before, and I think when we moved, I kind of lost it. And then, so Dan Kennedy, who a lot of online marketers learn from. So it's Dan Kennedy, and then you have all of these other guys. You have like Joe Polish. You have like just all of the great marketers. We talked about Frank Kern, Russell Brunson, right? Whose event I went to, who's a good friend of ours. They all learned from like Dan Kennedy for the most part. So Dan Kennedy used to do this event. He used to do a seminar called the Systems Seminar. Have you ever been to one of Dan's events?
I have his DVD. I haven't been to his event. Coincidentally, they have the old Glazer Kennedy is like about 45 minutes from my house in the Maryland, DC area. So,
okay. So Dan Kennedy used to do these system seminars, and I have those all on DVD. Well, I actually have them digitized. I have them all on MP4. And I just saw, so he's bringing back that event again.
Oh,
so
cool.
After it not being around for like 20 years, I think the last time that they actually had the system seminar was maybe in the 90s. So I just signed up for it. It's $997. It's going to be I think in April or June. If you guys are interested, I'll get you some more information. But I cannot wait. When I went to Funnel Hacking Live, they had a session with Jim Edwards, who's a great copywriter. Also a good friend of mine, Jim Edwards. We got a couple of projects together, as a matter of fact. And Dan Kennedy. So we did a Q&A session. So I'm looking forward to that. Let me ask you, why do you think so many people are resistant to marketing? Like there's some people like yourself, myself, other people that totally geek out on it. And we see the potential of it. We see the power of it. Like you can literally do anything with marketing. When I was, so my oldest daughter, Maya, who's 25, is not by my wife, Melody. We both came into our marriage with one child, and they were both the same age. They're both about 2 years old when we first got married. Maya's mom, I had a terrible relationship with. She was still in the neighborhood that we grew up in, which was not the best neighborhood. I was moving. She was still involved in a lot of this insane stuff. So Maya at 2, 3 years old, 4 years old was not in the best environment. There's a lot to unpack there that I'm not going to share here because we got. But in order to get custody of her, I was able to use marketing. Like I literally wrote a sales letter to the judge and was able to get it to the judge. And I'm pleading my side, like, look, judge, you know, whenever I have my daughter, she's going to school consistently. She goes to the doctor's appointments consistently. She's learning, right? And just literally, and I was able to do that because of everything that I learned from Dan Kennedy, from the Gary Benzabangas, from the John Carlins, from all of these other people. So knowing marketing allowed me to get my daughter out of an environment that was not the best for her and put her in an environment that allows her to flourish. This is how powerful marketing is. So don't think that you can just use it for sales. Like you can use it for anything. What are some of the things that you've used marketing for, Willie, outside of, because we use marketing for email, sales letters, right? To create courses, titles, headlines, Facebook ads, YouTube videos. What else are some of the things that you've used marketing for? And what are some of the things that I might have missed?
Yeah, I think to a certain degree, and it'll go back to what you and Caroline started off with. It's about mindset. Like we are all marketers every single day. Every single day of your life, you're selling yourself, whether, hey, I want to get this or that. You're making a buying decision, whether it's convincing a spouse or your children to do something you want them to do. If you want to go out, you're convincing your friend to go out with you. If it's on the job, if you want to get a promotion, or if you were just talking to a coworker, like we're all selling ourselves. So it's just a matter of how you're viewing it. And I think that's like to your initial point is like what are three things there? It's like, I think there's a lot of misinformation. I think there's a lot of lack of information. And I also think it's just the fear of the unknown. And I think those are three areas where it kind of shows up to why some people are resistant to marketing a little bit, as whereas like, hey, we're all doing something. We're making this, like you make decisions every day. And there's a thing called decision fatigue. And like, it's just a matter of making too many decisions. So sometimes rather than make a decision, some people make a no decision at all. But from a marketing standpoint, I think the best marketer, they make a decision quickly. It may or may not be the right one, but the more decisions you make, the better you get at making decisions. And the more decisions you get and the better you get at it, the more you're going to excel. And it's the same thing there too. So you always learn from your mistakes. Ty will tell you, Caroline will tell you, you'll always learn more from a mistake than from a win. But I think what makes a lot of people resistant is they don't want to make that initial mistake. So that oftentimes keep them from even getting started in the first place. If you never get started, you're never going to finish. And again, you're just losing that time. You're not getting the reps in, like going to the gym. You're not going to lift one time and have the body you desire. You have to do it over and over again. And again, you're selling.
Oh, we lost your audio.
Yeah, you're even selling yourself on going to the gym.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, Willie, but we lost your audio.
I didn't lose the audio time.
We lost your audio.
I haven't lost the audio.
Can you guys hear Willie, or is it just me?
Yeah,
I think it was just you.
Oh, you hear him? Okay, I lost his audio. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's you. You know what? Really, when we started talking about this, and you were chatting with Ty, I was making loads of notes. I was thinking, you know, I have so many conversations with people that come into this business, and when they talk about emailing our readers or whichever business we're in, whether we're doing sort of micro offers, whether we're doing Kindle or both, and people say to me, you know, I'm new to marketing. And the first thing I always say is, are you?
Yeah.
You know, because when we come into this business, and I always go on about this because this is so huge. When people get this,
sure.
They think just because this is online and not, you know, offline, and just because there's some tech to learn, and there are and there's some systems and procedures to learn. I did this. We come into a business let's talk Kindle publishing, and we think this is all completely brand new. I've never done anything like this before. You know, yeah, you might not have done this, but look at what you have. And so I always talk about, what have you been doing before you got here? You know, people come in, the average age range of people coming into this business is 40s plus anyway. We know that from the research that Ty shared with us the other week. And so, you know, when I think about how many pitches I've done at work for a job, you know, or a promotion, or an idea, where, you know, many people are in roles where they've got to everyone, influence people, whether you're in a more junior role and you're influencing customers and selling yourself to them, or whether you're in a senior role and you're influencing teams and top of the organization or whatever, or whether you are the top of the organization. And I think that, you know, throughout my whole, even from getting that job, that position at university, is a whole big marketing piece. We've just, when Maliha a year ago had to write her personal statement to get into this university in London, it's a whole big marketing job. The way that she marketed herself with the teachers for their support, but also the actual personal statement we had to put together. It was all very much like that. And I think that when we realize that, we'll come in and we'll think, okay, I'm not used to sending out an email a day or 3 a week or whatever people do. I'm not used to doing that about products. But, you know, the actual marketing piece I've been doing all my life. Like you say, you know, even if you've never worked and you've had kids, you know, you do that every day. And I think when people get that concept, then it's just a case of, okay, we just need to learn some tech and processes and procedures. And it's just a little bit different, but actually, you know, that, and we're so lucky, aren't we? Because there's so many systems we can buy to help us do it pretty easily, you know, like BookFunnel, email, you know, MailerLite if we're publishing books. But also it's amazing how you could be doing that. And I did this where you think, you know, if you think about common sense, and that when we talk to people how we sell ourselves every day, there are loads of things marketing wise in my Kindle business I wasn't doing that I'm now just starting to do a few years on, like more networking with other authors. And often it was a case of, okay, well, you know, I can't do that. Well, I'll do that if I've had a shop. If I had a cake shop or something, I'd be going out there and networking with the whole community.
Yeah, because people wouldn't just walk by that. I mean, you would get them walk-bys, right? But other than that, I mean, how else would they find out about it?
Yeah, and it's huge and it's exciting. And so when people sort of view marketing differently and with less fear, more excitement and realization that actually this is just normal communicating and selling like we do every day of our lives. So it's just a case of sort of doing it a little bit of a different way that we might not have done before. That's huge, because I remember thinking, okay, I'll get this book out and then I'll learn all the marketing. I've got to learn all the marketing. And then there's advertising, and that's different. You know, that was a huge thing for me. But if I'd have approached it the way that I coach people to approach it now, it becomes just more of a logical part of the whole thing. And that is massive. That's massive, because a lot of it is fear.
A lot of it is basically fear. Yeah.
I think you also touched on a good point. Like, even whether it was college, it could have been high school, like even an essay paper. I think like at the bare essence, and this is something I think would be important for everybody. Like, marketing is just stating what you do or how well you do something. Like in an essay, you got how well you do, you're going to get an A, B, or a C, depending on, hopefully no D or below, right? Or same thing in college or university. It's the same thing here. If you're a writer, if you're an author, you're stating your point of view, whether that's fiction or nonfiction. You're just sharing the information you have with the world. And depending, the better you get as a writer, as an author, at taking tests or whatever else, the higher degree to which you perform and execute, you should do better in that general area. So if the more you write, you will become a better writer. It's the same thing in marketing. The more offers you put out there, the more things you try, the better you become at doing those things. And the most successful people, they're not just that overnight success. Like a lot of these people, like there's a stat in marketing. It's like you need 10,000 hours to master something. And some people don't even start with that first 1 hour. And let that sink in. Like, what are you putting off? Like, are you not writing that one page or that one chapter? Are you not making that one ad? Ad and marketing go side by side. They are different, but it's the same thing. Are you, to that initial quote, marketing is telling the world you're a rock star. That content, what content are you putting out there? If you have zero content, how can you expect to excel at a certain area? And content can be a variety of things. Like the content marketing is showing the world you are that one rock star. So that could be Instagram, it could be TikTok, it could be YouTube, it could be Facebook, it could be another book, it could be multiple Kindle books. It could be a variety of things But again, it goes back to that mindset. We're so conditioned, like you can't make a mistake, even though you learn more from mistake, so-called failure, which you never actually fail unless you give up. But you learn more in that so that you can fine tune and adjust. And it's like most people think success is linear. It's never linear. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. And in those down times, you're going to learn what to do to get back up. And when you're on those up times, you got to take note of what you've been doing that whole time so you can get more up points or hit more peaks. And now your baseline goes from here. You keep adjusting to these peaks. Now your baseline is up here. And then it's like leveling it up, like getting to the next level. It's going to where you perform better at a different level. And that's marketing, that's writing, that's life in general. That's a relationship with your spouse or your children. The better you get at it, like if you never talk to your spouse or your child, how can you have a good relationship, right? So it's everything you do in life is going to be repetition, but you're always marketing from the standpoint of stating your point, what you believe in, what you represent. And that's all marketing. It's like, don't be scared of a word. Like it's just positioning. Like that quote, it's like showing the world what you stand for is, I think, like a very, very base level of marketing. And now it's just having a strong opinion in that. And then taking it out there. Now I'm going to share my opinion with the world. And that's where everyone here is opinionated, believe it or not. We're all guilty of that too. Like there's some things, like there's a reason they say don't talk about religion or politics. Some people will be one way or the other way. And we're not talking about, but so everyone has an opinion. Maybe you prefer coffee or tea. Like that's an opinion too, right? But now you're just stating it's like, hey, I like coffee. I like this kind of coffee. And now I stand for that. That's marketing in a nutshell. So it's just getting back to those basics, like demystifying what some of these words and terms are and realizing we all do these things. That's going to help you understand yourself. And that's going to help you understand your business if you're looking to grow your business as well, and or a book or whatever the case might be as well, I think.
Yeah, perfect.
This is why I wanted to get him here, guys,
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, because look, this is it, right? He's just giving you so much. You said the more decisions that you make, the better you get at decision making. The more decisions you make, it's as simple as that, the better you get at decision making. We make so many mistakes here at KCF, and you guys probably don't even realize it. Maybe you do, maybe some of them you do, but we make so many mistakes because we're trying so many different things, right? And we move quickly, so we try so many things. So Willie, one of the things that I learned when I first started studying marketing is you start with the marketing first and then with the product.
Yes.
And a
lot of people get that wrong, by the way.
100% wrong. Almost 99.9% of the people get it wrong. They start with the product first and they start going in, they're fine-tuning the product, they're creating it, writing it, building it out, and they haven't put one thought into marketing. So we're actually working on something right now. And here, what we do is we start with the marketing first. So Willie and I will get together with our brainstorming session. Sometimes it may be someone else on a team or a few other team members. And we'll talk about, like, what's the title going to be with this thing? Like, what are we going to call it, right? What are the bonuses that are going to be involved with this? We might start building out the sales pages. We might start building out the funnels. We might start building out the forms. And then last, we build out what? We build out the product. And sometimes we don't even have the product built out yet, believe it or not. Because what's the sense in building out the product if no one's going to buy it? So we might build everything else out and we're able to test the economy, test the waters. And then now we can slowly but surely start building out the product. And the product can become even better when we're building it out one step at a time than had we built it out entirely and then threw it out there. And the reason why is because now we're able to get feedback from the marketplace, right? The marketplace might now start asking us questions. Well, are we going to cover this? And we may not have been thinking about covering this in a module, but now guess what? Because we haven't built it out yet, we can now include that, right? We can start tailoring it to the needs of a marketplace.
But to pivot.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, just to pivot a little bit from that, and that's so true, and that's so true with so many products online. In relation to many people here publishing, I guess it's a little different, and it isn't, because you need a lead magnet. You need something before you. If you've got a pen name, you need to have something to build a list. But it's only in relation to what you said. It's a bit like, as long as you've got something little that you can put out there. So the world doesn't know who you are. you're a pen name. And so one of the things that I always say to people is while you're getting the lead magnet, which can be short, like a prequel to a series, for example, or a standalone, but I like everything to link to a series because it just sort of makes sense in my head. You can still start your social media pages, you can still start building, but because you can still get traction by doing posts and that sort of thing. But once you've got that small product, your lead magnet, then you can start building your list. It doesn't matter that your series isn't written yet, and that's in hand, because that lead magnet can be out for a couple of months. So I guess
there's so many Kindle books that I've published that I have not had the series yet. Because I don't want to waste the money, I don't want to waste the time, right? So what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll put together our prequel, or we might put together a lead magnet. It might just be the first chapter.
First chapter, I was going to say that.
And if they bomb, then there's no way that I'm going to put money into building out a 5-part, 7-part series, right?
So it's quick and cheap. So you can get it out quickly and cheaply. But that is the only difference to what you were saying there, Ty. You need something when you're a pen name, to start building that list.
Sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't. When I first started publishing Kindle, I didn't have anything. What I would do is I would run ads, and it wasn't Facebook ads at that time. It was more like Overture and Google ads that I was running. But I would run ads to a survey. And I would run ads to say, hey, look, guys, this is what I'm considering publishing. I was publishing a lot of books around the music industry. Like, I'm going to publish a book on how to build out your record label. If you're interested in this, add your name to our early bird notification list. And now I don't have anything still.
Yeah.
I don't have a Kindle book, right?
For nonfiction.
Yeah, because and Willie, I want to get you in here too.
Sure.
So someone said, how can you market, and hopefully ask what, I just kind of answered this, but I'd love to get your opinion on this, Willie. How can you market something you don't know what it is? When you don't have a product, how can you then talk about it?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And I think that's really what it is. And like, we'll just back up a second. It goes back to psychology. Like, at the end of the day, whether it's a book, whether it's a product, you got to know your audience. Like, you're at the end of the day, we're all making something for someone, even whoever made my coffee mug. They knew they were making this for somebody to drink something out of this. So they had to think, okay, what would this person like? What is it? The grip? Is it the handle? Is it the color? All these different things. Like, at the end of the day, you're making a product, a book, whatever you want to call it. You're solving a problem. Either somebody wants to learn something, they want to be educated on something, or they want to be entertained. So your book, if it's a romance novel, for instance, somebody likes romance. They're not necessarily looking for romance, though they could be, and that might be a certain genre you can go into. But more times than not, they want to be entertained. They want to hear the story. They want to know how this person meets this person and all the things that go through their lives, the ups and downs, and then do they get together at the end? Are they happily ever after? Whatever the case might be. And that's the same thing with any genre. You can put those in there. So the question that was asked is, like, how can you create something that doesn't exist, or how can you do that and make a product? You got to know who you're starting with. Who's going to receive this product? And now the person I'm going to go into, whether that's your audience, whether that's your email list, whether you want to talk about, who's going to receive this, what problem or pain point do they have, or what do they want to gain? What do they want to be educated by, if it's something more technical, or like, what do they want? And as long as, like, all sales, simple sales is giving people what they want. That's marketing at the bare essence. That's selling a book. They buy it, you're giving somebody what they want to read. If you're selling a product, you're giving somebody the product that's going to help them do ABC. If it's my coffee mug, they're giving me something to drink out of. They're solving the problem. I'm thirsty. I want coffee. I need to drink something. They got that, and that's what I'm going to do. And I have multiple of those, right? So now it's like, find somebody, to Ty's point, do a survey. You can do surveys, find out what they want. You can go to any website, any Facebook group. You could probably just go to Google. What does somebody in some space want? Or like, what's the number one problem in this space? And like, how to lose weight. If somebody wants to lose weight, there's going to be 101 things on how to lose weight. So now, out of those things, I'll just use that because everyone can relate to weight loss, right? How to lose weight. Well, you can do workouts, you can do exercises, you can detox. There's a lot of different things. So now you can, another way, instead of just how to lose weight, you could also put in like maybe the top 5, top 10 weight loss problems. And like Google, especially nowadays, like when Ty was talking, I had to chuckle for a second when he said Overture. Like most people don't even know what Overture was. That's an old marketing platform back with Oracle and all the other things back in the day, right? But now everything's at our fingertips. Probably all of you have one of these in R&B. You can find an answer. Go to Google or go to YouTube, put how to do X, you're going to get 101 answers. So that's going to give you an idea. And what you're also going to see, and this is a big thing for everyone, like you're going to see trends. Like what are more people saying? If everyone's saying how to do a push-up, I'm not going to make a book on how to get abs. Likewise, if everyone's talking about how to get six-pack abs, I'm not going to make a wrist workout. That probably wouldn't work. Is it working out? Yeah, but that's not what people are looking for. So again, just give people what they want. And now that I know what they want, it takes a little research. That's always going to be your first step. Also, what space am I going to go into? I'm not making a product for everybody. And a lot of people like, everyone can use this. That's the wrong idea, because when you make a product for everybody, you're really making a product for nobody. And you probably heard the saying, Ty's probably said it, someone said, the riches are in the niches. All niches are a small group of people with a common goal, common want, common need. And now I find that group of people I want to serve, what's their pain point, what's their problem? And now I'm going to go back and here's the person, let's say for this group, like to Caroline's point, it's a 40-year-old, let's call it a woman, just in this case, it could be a male or female here, but there's probably 75% women here, right? If I was going to make a product for everyone on the Zoom, just looking at the faces I can see that are on, I would probably go to that 40 and above audience. I know some information from knowing Caroline or from Ty, they're either writers, they're authors, they're Kindle publishers, and according to today's call, they're probably looking to learn how to market. They might not be marketing, or they don't want to do marketing, that 1, 2, or 3 we did at the beginning. I could right now make a product based off of the information I had. Where most people go wrong, they say, I want to make, I'll be absurd, the wrist workout. I make a whole product on the wrist workout, then I try to convince everybody to buy that. No, I want to start with the problem that people already have, and a group of people I know already want this one thing. Now it wouldn't be very hard for me to make a marketing product for the audience that's on this call, solving some of the problems. They don't want to write it. They don't want to do the marketing. They don't want to do the advertising. If I can solve those problems in my product, of course, or even just a book, a majority of the people here would buy that. And now it's just my job, where advertising comes into play, is to get that product out in front of those people. But you start with that beginning there. Do your research, know your audience, know the problems they have, know what they want to do. Or do they want to be entertained? Do they want to be educated? And then again, I know it sounds overly simple, but it really is that simple at the end of the day. Give them what they want. And the only way I know what they want is by doing that research ahead of time.
Yeah, it is literally that simple. I remember when I first got started, I would go into the groups. I would go into forums, and you're literally looking at the problems. You're looking at what comes up most often, what questions people are asking, what frustrations do they have. So you can do this anywhere, as with any industry, as Willie said. Like I would literally go into the forums and I would go into the groups and literally fall asleep at my computer 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just making notes. Oh my God, I see that this question is coming up. It's come up 10, 20 times. I see that people are having a frustration with this, and they're articulating it differently, right? They're phrasing it differently, but it all leads to you solving that same issue. So Willie, it's listening to the marketplace. It's listening to the audience, even if you don't yet have access to that audience, meaning you don't have a list, right?
Yep.
There's so many different ways, right? You can look at reviews on Kindle books.
Sure.
Right. We always talk about this. And I think sometimes, Caroline, we don't go into this as deep as we should. Like the importance of looking at reviews on Kindle books, because that's a gold mine of information right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I mean,
Completely.
like I said, for the forums, you have blogs, you have Medium, you have Reddit. Those are 2 written platforms. You have article sites. You could have e-zines. That's back in the day too. Like they're still around, where the magazines or e-zines created around these products. More modern day today, Facebook groups. And it's not just, I saw a post, yes, you can go in there and ask, hey, what are your top problems, whatever else. But oftentimes people will tell you, like if you give them your ear, they're going to give you an earful, right? Like you can just see like what comments are showing up all the time in a group, in a chat, in a blog, in a forum, people, or on a review. Yeah, the good reviews are good there too, but on Amazon, like what are people saying they didn't like?
Yeah.
Or what are they saying that they wanted? That's where the real gold is at. It's like, hey, this was a good book. However, hey, I didn't believe this character was as developed. So, hey, if I write a book similar to that, if I have a more developed character, that's what people are asking for, or whatever the case might be. So giving people what they want, like just listening, that's going to be the big part. I always go with an old adage. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should use them in proportion, direct proportion, right? So you should hear twice as much as you're talking. And a lot of people want to say it. So, hey, I know people are going to tell me what their problem is. I just have to be a good listener. Like, and that's going to be the best thing. Like, hey, you're a good listener. That's a good compliment, because now you're going to hear what, that's how you're going to understand, by listening. If you're doing all the talking, or if there's an old adage, like if you're the smartest person in the room, you should probably be in a different room. Because if you're doing more talking than you are listening and learning, that's going to be where you're only going to be as good as the information you learn. So you have to put yourself in a position to learn more, or go into these groups, the chats, the forums, the blogs, Medium, all the different platforms that are out there, and just do a quick scan. Like, this doesn't even have to be hours. Like, give me an hour, I could find the main problem in just about any space that you want to talk about, right? So now the second part is taking that information, and now you're going to go back, okay, which one of these problems, let's say I have a list of 50 problems, which one is showing up the most? Which one's showing up second most, third most? I can easily find 5 to 10 problems. And if I can solve all 5, let's just say 5 for an easy number. If I can solve all 5 of those, that could be 5 chapters. That could be 5 modules. That could be 5 different things. And I'm giving the people, again, what they want, or what a majority of the people want, again, in that one space. If I just like put weight loss, which is so broad, there's so many do that. But if I say weight loss for a woman over 40 who just had a baby, that's a very specific person who has a very specific goal or need. And now I can also talk to that person. Hey, are you a woman over 40 who just had a baby? They feel like Todd will tell you, you probably heard him say this before, you have to enter the conversation that's in their head. Yeah. Like, what's keeping them awake at night? What big problems are they having? Those are the things that you're looking to solve, and that you want to go out there. Before you create a product, once I know what that big problem is, it's very easy for me to give them a solution. Like, you just give them solutions to problems. Any book is a solution to being educated, entertained, or learning something new. Any product is helping them make money online, write their Kindle book. It's helping them lose weight, whatever the example might be. You're giving solutions to problems, and that's how you're going to create a product that's a solution to a problem, but you have to first know what that problem is.
Yeah, and you can go so deep with it. Like, look, we do it here at Kindle Cashflow, right? Not only do we give you the Kindle Cashflow revamp program, or the Fast Pass program, or the mentorship program, but we also have products that teach you how to write romance books. We have products that teach you how to write outlines for romance books, right? We have products that teach you how to market on Facebook, market your Kindle books on Facebook, right? We literally have like 80 something different products just on the Kindle related side, right? That teach you how to publish better Kindle books. So that's one niche, but going wide and deep with it, right? So you go wide with it and then also go deep. How much of what part, or what portion would you say psychology plays in marketing, if any at all?
Oh, it's the biggest thing. Like, because at the base, like, you can go back to like Pavlov's hierarchy of needs. Like, people have 6 basic human needs. As long as you're meeting one of those needs and in order, it's easier to hit a broader audience when there's a bigger need. Like think about it this way. Like, anyone who's ever gone to a sporting event, why are they selling hot dogs for $10? They have a captivated, hungry audience. Are hot dogs the best? Probably not. Can you buy a whole pack for $1? Probably so, but you'll pay $10. Why? One part of that is experience, but it's also the psychology of they want something, and you have the solution to that problem, and you're giving them a need. But the psychology of it, and also one other thing with that there too, is like, tackle one problem at a time. One problem, one solution is going to be the big thing. And that's the psychology. When most people make a book or a product and it doesn't do as well as they want it to, they're trying to, like, let's say Kindle publishing. If I try to solve Kindle publishing, it'd probably be a book about this thick and give you everything at one time. But if I told you how to make your book cover, or how to actually register on Kindle, like, and that's the goal you have, like, moving them one milestone closer at a time, that's going to be the thing. But that's part of the psychology, is like, some people like, I'm going to give them all this stuff, and that's what they want. Most people don't want all that stuff. They want a simple solution to a simple problem that they had, and doing that one thing. And the psychology of that, to Ty's point, is really,
you're sending them up a ladder, right? And you're helping them to get better through that.
You're definitely going to send them up a ladder is the one thing, but there's 2 psychologies, and keep that in mind. One is the psychology of the person who's going to be buying that future product, book, whatever the case might be. The other psychology is your own psychology. Just having the belief in yourself, the stuff Caroline and Ty talk to you guys about all the time. Like, it's one of my favorite quotes. I always tell it, but it's like Henry Ford's: whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you're right. And I know everyone's always progressing and working on that. You wouldn't be here if you weren't already at a certain level, but we can always learn more. And it's still that belief in yourself. Even Ty and myself, if we're going to put something out there, it's not a home run every single time. You got to go back and tweak it and change it. But you got to be willing to get up to bat. Sometimes you might strike out, but sooner or later you're going to hit that home run. And this is the psychology part. Most people don't like, quote unquote, failures, quote unquote, not making it. Like, it doesn't matter if you fail 10 times straight. Like, it's the old Colonel Sanders story. Like, he was turned down. Colonel Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? He was turned down 101 times before somebody actually accepted his recipe. Now he has probably one of the biggest franchises in the world. But if he didn't get the 101st person to say yes, he would have went to 102, then 103, then 104. It's like more times. You got to keep trying. Some people, I tried it. Like, me and my family had that discussion. Like, well, I tried to do. Well, no, it's not a try. It's like either you did it or you didn't. Like,
you didn't try. It's just
stay right there 1 second, because I want to announce something too. I know some people have to go and they got to go to work, but I do want to. If you guys want to learn more about marketing, right? So Willie, myself, Caroline, we have the Get It Done Challenge that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. So make sure that you guys go in and register for it. You can register for free. So it's over at tycohen.com/MOC. I'll put the link into the chat box, tycohen.com/MOC. M as in Mary, O as in Oscar, C as in Cash. All right. We're going to show you how to build out your own digital product in 6 days. We're going to show you how to market it. We're going to show you how to find an audience. We're going to show you how to sell it. So tycohen.com/MOC. All right. So Willie, back to what you were talking about. We're almost at the top of the hour, but I'm here, and Caroline, I don't want to speak to you for you.
I'm good.
You're good to go. Okay. So we're good to go.
Yeah.
So we're good to go. If you guys are good to go and hang out with us, is there anyone that's, number one, who here has already registered for the Get It Done Challenge? Put me in the chat box if you have already registered. You can register for free. Doesn't cost you anything. Or you can upgrade and you can get like a platinum or a VIP ticket. Don't get the general ticket. General tickets are, just for those baby marketers. But if you want to become a superior marketer, register at the platinum or the VIP level. So I see Christine has registered. Margaret has registered. Eberly is registered. Marlene is registered. Wendy is registered. Getting my platinum today, says Christine. All right. Who here has time to hang out with us for a few more minutes? Because again, we're gonna continue to get deep with this. All right. So all right, go ahead. Hopefully you didn't lose your train of thought as I interrupted you there.
No, not a problem at all. And that's actually perfect there too. Like, there's no try, or it's either like you do or do not. Like, I think that's actually even an old Star Wars quote from like Yoda for any of the Star Trek people. I see a few smiles, so they get the reference. But it really is. It's like, hey, I'm going to try to finish this book today. Well, it's not really either I'm going to finish it or I'm not. It's like, try is kind of like I'll call it a small excuse for a lot of people. And a lot of people like, I'll try to make it. I'll try to do that. I'll try to get that done today. Like, at the end of the day, like, and there's a good book right here, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, from Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's like your whole life, like where you're at right now in your life is a total sum of all the behaviors and patterns and habits, everything you've done in the past. So some people say, hey, I had a rough childhood. I had this and that. I could tell you stories. I could tell you stories, probably some very graphic stories to that. But to that point, it's like, at the end of the day, and I tell this to some of our coaching students and everything else, like where you're at right now, today is like your future self, of the past of your future self, right? So like what you've done your entire life, no matter how old you are, has gotten you to where you're at today. Good decisions, bad decisions, jobs, relationships, all that. However, and that being true, where you're going to be 5 years, 10 years from now is basically going to be based on the past, which is today moving forward. So you always have an opportunity to make a decision now, whether that's a business decision, whether that's I'm going to write my chapter today, all the things you do right now to wait even just a week from now. What you do from today in the next 7 days is going to determine where you're going to be at that point. So if you want to be somebody different, you have to do the things that future person would be doing, right? So let's say it's your business. Let's say it's writing your book. If I want to have a book finished by the end of the year, by December 31st, 2023, whether it's 10 chapters or whatever else, I got to do those things. I got to kind of look back right now. What am I going to do to get that first milestone, to reach the next milestone? And again, it's not, hey, I'm going to try that. Either you're going to do it or you're not.
Yeah, and I think, well, definitely he stopped for me this time. I don't know if he stopped for you as well, right? So
yeah, Willie's gone.
I think the whole try thing, Caroline, is setting yourself up, right? So
either way, you're making a decision. So you're going to either make a decision to do something or not.
I don't think he even knows. You went, Willie, but we got you.
Yeah, no, that's what it really is. It's like you're making a decision either way. So why not make a good decision? Because not making a decision is also making a decision not to do something anyway. So either you're going to do it or you're not. You're still making that decision. And sometimes that's the hardest thing for us. And again, that's a learned behavior. You have to learn to make those decisions. Like, it's not automatic for all of us, but that's why you read books. That's why I read books. Like, I didn't know any of it. Like, I didn't start anything in business, self-development, personal development until I was probably at least 25 years old. Like, I didn't grow up around that. A whole environment way different than that. Like, everyone I know growing up, and this ain't to be bad, or like they've gone to jail, they're dead, or they're gone, right? So that's one of those things where it's like you always have a choice for yourself. I can say, well, oh, this, that, and that. Like me and my brother, 2 different lives, right? It's like, hey, they grew up together, they have the same family, same household, whatever the case might be, but it's a matter of what you're doing. It's the decisions you make. I chose a different path for myself, and every day you have that opportunity, like right now, like on this call. Doesn't matter how bad of a day you had yesterday at work. It doesn't matter. Maybe you got an argument with your spouse or a child or a coworker, but today's a new day. You can make a decision today. Hey, I'm going to fix those quote unquote problems. You can also look at those as learning experiences. What went wrong in that situation? What didn't work? And that could have been a business decision. That could have been a personal decision, because the personal problems really will show up in your business. So sometimes that might be half the battle. Hey, I'm not as successful as I want to be, well, maybe I need to look a closer look at myself. Because at the end of the day, the only person, it's like we talk about taking total ownership. I'm sure Ty and Caroline's talked to you about that before. You got to take total ownership of your situation, where you're at right now in life. You might even want to grab a piece of paper, write this thing out, like, hey, here's where I'm at. Like, where am I starting from? What's my starting point? And here's my attribute, or what you consider. Hey, I know some marketing. I'm a writer. I'm not. Like, what do you like? Take inventory of yourself. And then from that point, okay, cool. Here's some things I'm going to work on to change, not try to change. I am going to work on these, making the decision that I am going to change these things. And then, hey, maybe I have some weak links. Maybe I'm not the best writer. Maybe I can't spell. Let's say if I want to write a book and I can't spell, maybe I'm going to work on my spelling, or I'm going to look at what outside myself can help. Am I going to get a proofreader? Like, you got more time, you got more money. Everything is going to be one of those 2 options. But what can you work on? Make your weaknesses your strengths. And always, like, you're 1% better today than you were yesterday. You're not going to be like 365%. It's like a compounding effect, because getting better in one area can 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x you in other areas there too. So I know that's a lot to unpack at one time. But again, it starts with that decision. I'm going to make a decision that I'm going to stop doing those things that weren't benefiting me. I'm going to start doing things that will benefit me. And now it's just taking one step forward. What can I do today that's going to get me better than yesterday? Or if I want to write a book, what's the number one thing that's going to help me? Is it going to be writing that first chapter? Is it going to be writing the first paragraph? Like, you're not going to finish the chapter until you get the paragraph. It might just be I'm going to get up 10 minutes earlier, take 10 minutes before I go to work and do something. Like, making a decision is going to be the number one thing, because if you don't make a decision, by default, you're making a decision not to do that. And we all have stories like, I wish 10 years ago I did this. I could have, would have, should have, but if you didn't, that may be true, but that doesn't define that you can't. So keep that in mind at the same time there too. So
and then you still don't have
along with that, but definitely, I think that's a good place to pull back a little bit and see Ty and Caroline's point of view on that as well.
No,
yeah, and I think it.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it relates back to the Colonel Saunders story. Is it Saunders or Sanders? Do you say over there?
Colonel Sanders. Well, I say Colonel Sanders. I don't know.
Saunders, wasn't it? I don't know. Anyway, that story is really important as well, because not only did he get rejected so many times, he was 65 years old, wasn't he, when he, or something like that, mid-60s as well. So that's the other thing, isn't it, in terms of what you've just said about when people look back. You know, I wish I'd done this 20 years ago. I mean, I've actually said things like that to myself. I wish I'd started this business in my 20s, you know, or been online, you know, years ago, like you guys have started online years ago. But that's the same sort of.
I say I wish I would have made the decision to be a billionaire years ago.
I know, but that's not beneficial, is it? I mean, it is if it helps project us forwards, but there's so many people that will have those limitations, and you know, this is sometimes the case for the older generation when they're looking at things like marketing and tech, because they're perceiving that to be a new thing.
Yes.
You know, it's like a new, the systems and tech is new-ish, you know, they might not have done that before, but the concept of marketing and networking and selling services is not, because we're selling everything, you know, we've been selling since we were a child, begging our parents for an ice cream when we were 3 or whatever, you know. So it's getting that mindset right, and if you can get that mindset right, it's hugely beneficial when you're building your business, especially if you are learning things from scratch, for sure. But yeah, Ty, over to you, because I interrupted you there.
No, that was perfect.
You got it. It's such a lot of content.
Look, we do that all the time. We have fun with this stuff. So I think you're right, Caroline. I think it's super important to always learn new things. If you think that you're deficient in maybe the tech side of things or maybe the marketing side of things, I think it's important to set time a day, whether it's 10 minutes or 5 minutes, to learn something in that area every single day. This is something that I do myself, right? I don't consider myself to be the most technical when it comes to things. But what I've done is every single day I challenge myself to figure out something, right? So now I'm probably way more technical than most people, right? I can figure things out, but that's because and I think it's super important to do that. Willie, I want to kind of pivot a little bit. What are some, for people that are looking at getting better at being marketers, what are some resources that they could go to? Like, what are some of the things that you're studying right now that might be free?
Sure.
That they can go in to check out.
One thing I would definitely recommend, and again, this is one of those things where you make a decision, they'll say, hey, I don't know this yet. Like AI is definitely a new thing that's out there, like ChatGPT. Getting better at, especially with AI, whether it's ChatGPT or another platform, that will shortcut your path to success. But like, keep in mind with some of these AI tools, not to talk tongue in cheek there, they're only as good as the information the commands you give it. Yes. So like, they'll do what you ask it to do, but you have to verify what's correct. And the more specific, more precise you are, the better information you will get. And that's where like just getting an outline created, getting a sales page, like sales is the number one thing. If you know how to sell, you're never going to be broke a day in your life. Whether that's selling your book, whether that's selling a product, whether that's selling coaching, sales will always be a thing. And that's something later in my career, I actually went back. I used to do sales calls and still do sales calls to this day. And that's one of the things that elevated me to another level. So learning to sell is going to be one thing. The second thing I would say, copywriting. They're probably like neck and neck, like writing copy, and like as writers and authors, that's not necessarily, and this is not against anyone, like that's not necessarily technical writing. It's like getting human emotions, triggering emotion, writing a word, like we're talking about, like what's the problem somebody has. And there's actually a whole category called copywriting, where again, if you know how to write copy, you can sell anything. And
that is not copywriting as in protecting your work.
Yes, not copywriting with
persuasion and influence, right?
Yeah. WRITING, writing, not RIGHT. And that's like using persuasive copy or writing text in a persuasive way that sells a course, training, product, book, whatever the case might be. So there's definitely going to be two big things there too. Free resources, again, like I would always, like my number one resource for free stuff, go to YouTube. How to write a sales page, how to lose weight, how to do anything. You can find anything on YouTube, and you're gonna probably find 5 to 10 videos on how to do that as well. One big thing with that, picking one thing and focusing on one thing. Like too many people want to learn to do everything. Like if I try to read 10 different books at one time, I'm not gonna be as effective, right? And then also you only have so much time in a day. Like focus on one thing, and here's the second part of that, until that one thing works. So many people start something and don't finish what they're doing. That's going to be a big caveat for you, or maybe a hump or a challenge, or it could be a molehill or a mountain for you to overcome, depending what you're doing. It's like, I had an ongoing joke, like, I think I've told the story to Ty before, like, when I would work out, like something in life always happened like week 3. Like maybe a family member moved in, or we helped them out, or something came up, like always that 3rd week. And like we believe the stories we tell ourselves. So I'm like, anytime I start something, I'm already looking on, especially on a workout, week 3, what's going to come up? Like, and that's something I probably convinced myself of, until you realize like, hey, it's just a mindset thing. It's like, there's really nothing there. And even though that other thing does happen, you still have a decision whether what you're going to do at that point or not. And it can be a real thing. Like, we're not saying life doesn't happen. How you react to those things that do happen is going to be the most important thing there too. And taking that in a stride and doing what you said you're going to do, like finishing that's going to be the biggest thing for everybody here. Whether that's a book, hey, I started this book. Some of us is 10 days ago. Some of us is 10 years ago. Making that decision, you're going to finish that. And here's the biggest thing too, like putting a date on that. What's the deadline? Like, hey, I'm going to write this book. Okay, by when? What date? When is this going to be finished and done, or what? Okay, or it's going to be, hey, I'm going to eat better. Okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store. When? Like we're always going to say, I'm going to, or I'm going to do that tomorrow, but tomorrow never happens because tomorrow becomes today, and then there's always another tomorrow. Like putting a deadline on something like that. But free resources, to Ty's point, a journal, writing things down in pen, on paper. I always have a notebook or more right beside me with a pen and paper. Like, yes, there's a lot of electronic device. And while you're on YouTube, check out a free journaling course, like how to take notes. Like, I know it's writing words on a page, right? But there's different things you can do to structure it, being organized. That's going to be the biggest thing for you there. Like a free journal, or you can download a template if you want to online for free. Just put free journal template, or there's a great free resource. One of the biggest ones, even Ty and I use to this day, Canva. A lot of people think it's an art design. You can do slideshows on there. There's journals, there's outlines, there's infographics, there's a ton of things. There's book covers. There's a lot of
AI is incorporated into it now.
Yeah, it has AI now. There's a lot of things there. That would probably be one of the biggest tools I use. Like, I don't know how to do Photoshop, or I've forgotten how to do those things. Like, I use Canva now more than the free, like paid tools platforms that I have for like $300. I use a free tool like Canva over those, like 9 times out of 10, right? So that's going to be a big free tool. But focusing on that one thing, like, and what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? What do you need to accomplish those things? Then go to YouTube or Google, and you're going to find the majority of those things for free.
Yeah, you're going to find it. And I think the important, that's great. That was good information, Willie. I think the important thing is not to go down a rabbit hole as well, right? So when you're going over to YouTube, you go with this singular focus. I have to do this every day. This happens to everyone. So I'll go over to YouTube, and guess what? YouTube knows what we like. So that you'll see all of these little thumbnails of stuff that are dying for your attention. So one of the things that I have to do is I have to pretend that they don't even exist. Because I know that as soon as my eyes gravitate towards one of the titles or the thumbnails, I'm in, and I'm clicking all over the place, and it's an hour later, right? So you have to be very, you got to be intentful with what you're doing. Canva. So someone was asking about the resource that you shared. Yes, Canva is amazing. Almost all of our Facebook ads are built off of Canva. So much so that I taught both Tyler and my daughter Summer to use Canva. Yeah. And now that they have this AI component. One
more free resource that most people probably overlook, this right here in your hand. Like, we were talking about finding information on your phone. Everybody's cell phone, especially these days, you have a timer on here. You have to give yourself a limit, and you have to accomplish what you want to do in that time limit. So if you're going to give yourself 5 minutes, if you're going to give yourself 10 minutes, I remember like back in the day, like before like tech was what it was, there was a Pomodoro technique. It's a timer that will give you 55 minutes. Then you give yourself a 5 or 10 minute break. But just setting that one time frame, hey, I'm going to do this in 30 minutes. Because
how many of you guys are familiar with the Pomodoro technique? We covered that on the class.
There's actually an old timer that looked like a tomato. There's a physical one, but there's online versions too. I'm sure, again, Google it, YouTube it, you're going to find it, or just a countdown. So you're giving yourself a time limit, because the activity you do will always expand until the time frame you give it. If Ty said, hey, Willie, we're going to build a new funnel by next week, I'm probably not going to have it done tomorrow. It'll probably be Friday next week or Wednesday next week if we're going from now where you're wrapping it up. But if you say, hey, Willie, we're going to build a new funnel in the next 2 days. Again, it's a skill I already have. It could take me a full week, but I could also do it in 2 days. So you're giving yourself a time frame, that's free. Now, sticking to that time frame, and to Ty's point, don't go down the rabbit hole, because there's a lot of information. Like, there's information overload out there. So picking that one thing, finding one thing, don't find 10 different ways to do a push-up, right? You don't have to do that. Pick one, use that one until you're successful with that one. Then you can add on to that as well there too. But a timer, that's going to be a huge thing, especially to help you keep from getting distracted. And all distracted is, that's an excuse for watching YouTube videos, going on Facebook, seeing what everybody else is doing. You shouldn't be more worried about what somebody else is doing, a celebrity or whoever else, than what's actually happening in your life. So that's where some of our time goes. Like, it's like, man, it's like you go on there and it's well intended oftentimes. I'm going to find this one video, or I'm just going to check out what my cousin's doing. And then an hour, 30 minutes later, 2 hours later, sometime, you're like, man, I didn't get anything done today. I wanted to write this book. I looked up how to structure a paragraph, and then I just started watching all these videos, and I never got to writing the paragraph, right? And it happens to all of us. We're not pointing fingers. I'm guilty of that as well there too, right?
Everyone, yeah. But we actually talked about that on, so I covered the Pomodoro effect or technique a couple of months back. And look, what Willie's talking about here is basically, how many people have ever heard, and we're going to wrap it up pretty soon, the phrase nature abhors a vacuum, right? Nature abhors a vacuum. So basically in physics, there's this concept that I think it was attributed to like Aristotle, that roughly translates to that phrase, right? Nature abhors a vacuum. And it simply means that nature requires that every single space be filled, whether that's a physical space, right? That's why you can clean up sometimes, and depending on who you are, you might see that that area soon starts to get back to where it was, or whether it's time, right? So nature requires that every single space be filled, and that there are no naturally occurring empty spaces. That's why you have to go in, you have to really set these limits, and you have to build out your space and limit how much time you're going to attribute to that space. Willie, last question here. So if you were to start all over again, unless I'm sure Caroline may have something as well, but if you were to start all over again with your marketing journey, where would you start first? Would you start with copywriting first? Would you start with understanding the psychology behind things by studying guys like, Cialdini, right? Or where would you go?
For me, I would decide first, like, what am I most passionate about? Because that's going to be the easiest thing to learn. It's like there's a saying, you do the fear things first. You can definitely work on a weakness. I would probably start with myself, like, what am I most passionate about? And there's an old thing called Kaizen, like asking yourself like 5 whys, like why, okay, whether it's copywriting or sales, which one do I think I'm better at? I probably would go that route and work on that. Or for me personally, and I know it's going to sound like a cop-out, like, I would probably do the easiest one. And most people are like, oh, do the hard thing. Like, no, like, if it's easier, if you think you can do it, it goes back to that belief. If you think you can, or if you think you can't. So if I believe I can write copy, or if I believe I could be better at sales, just picking one. And it would be that psychology, to your point. It's like, okay, now that I want to do this, who do I want to serve? And that's what you're always going to do. Like, if your income will be in direct proportion to the amount of people that you serve. So like, the way you're going to make sales, it's not by making this amazing product and selling it. It's by solving a problem. So what am I passionate about? Who are the people in that space? And like the psychology of the people, like, what do they need? What are the pain? What are the problems? And then I think the other things are going to come there, because even if I'm a mediocre marketer, a mediocre advertiser, but if I know the person better than they know themselves, if I can solve a problem more than my competition, and they really they feel like I'm talking to them, that's what that product's going to be about. That's what it's going to be about. Like, you can learn those other skills, the marketing, sales, advertising, product structure, all those things you can learn doing the research. That's the big thing. And I, admittedly, myself, first 6 years of my career, because I've worked with a lot of other people, a lot of big names in the space, and I was a guy behind the scene doing specific tasks, but I had never done it for myself. So I was great at doing, like Kai said, the technical stuff, or the other stuff there too. That's why I added a lot of value for other people. But I never had that research component up front for myself to what, like, I was, hey, do this. And I was great at getting that thing done that I was asked to do. However, but starting from scratch, the research, it's invaluable. Like, getting the research down, knowing the person, knowing the problem that they have, that's going to be the biggest thing you can do. And it goes into your book. If I'm in a nonfiction space, or fiction space or romance or scary stories, what are the elements of a great romance novel? What's the hero's journey? What's the what model? What's the framework? Frameworks is going to make everything work better, because you can always fill in the information. But if I don't know, have a good structure, a good schematic, a good framework to start with, it's going to be an uphill battle, and you may not see the results you want. Like, understanding what you're doing is the first thing, and then after that, execution is everything. Executing. Whether you think you're right or wrong, as long as you're moving forward, you're going to be able to course correct. But if you like getting that momentum up front, that's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, well said. Really, really well said. Caroline, anything that you want to add to that?
And just building on that, a lot of that is handed. We're very lucky. So if you're, I mean, some of the stuff we're talking about has been non-fiction, but if you want fiction, like Willie just said, the reviews that we've talked about, the books that are already out on Amazon, for example, the problems are out all on there. I don't know if the internet's going as well. I've just had a. Can you all hear me all right?
You had
I've just frozen
times on my end, yeah, but we got you now.
My end.
Yep.
So yeah, just to say.
Yeah, she froze on me.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I might have gone.
I think we all got issues going on with our internet. Yeah. It's an international thing going on. So, Willie, this has been fantastic, man. Guys, let us know in the Facebook group what has been your biggest takeaway. If you're watching this on YouTube, because we are streaming on YouTube as well, in the comments, let us know what your biggest takeaway is. And don't forget to join the Get It Done Challenge. So it's coming up shortly. I just put the link into the chat box again. So it's over at tycohen.com/MOC. So M is in Mary, O is in Oscar, C is in Cash. And during this challenge, we're going to show you how to not only do the market research, which is so important. That's what Willie was just talking about. He ended off on that. But we're also going to show you how to go in and put the research that you've compiled into place to find your ideal audience, and then put together a product that you can serve to that ideal audience, right? So we're going to show you how to do the market research, how to take that research, find out who your ideal customer is, your ideal audience, and then create a product that's specifically geared to that individual. So if you want to get better at marketing, if you don't think that this is for you, this challenge, come in, register for it, and see how we market it. One of the best ways that you can get better at marketing is to sign up for things, whether they're free or not, and just study the marketing. Say, you know what, I want to see what this person, what this lady or what this guy is doing to market this thing. And once you start approaching it from that standpoint, your eyes totally open up and you start looking at things totally differently, right? So, Willie, any last words that you want to leave our audience with? You've given us so many nuggets right here, man. I'm extracting one last one from you here. I'm going to pull this last nugget out. And then
I'll give you 5 things: A, B, C, D, E. And I literally wrote this down this morning because it was something I was doing. Like A is action is required no matter what you're going to do. Yeah. The B is be involved. Like, you have to be involved with that thing, become that thing, being whatever you want to call it, engrossed in that thing. Some people say obsessed. Obsessed not a bad thing, was in the right way. The C is constantly show up. You have to show up. You have to do the work. And then the D is do the work. So showing up for the work is doing the work. And then E, the last one here, engagement. Engagement is everything. Execution. Execution is everything there too. You do have to be engaged, but you also have to execute on those things there too. And that's what I would say. And it's just making that decision. Just like Ty said about the Get It Done Challenge. Make a decision whether you're going to be there or not. You can have a product. You can have your niche. Some of those things you wanted to learn to do and do those things. That applies to books, products, or else. But those 5 things is definitely what I would say there for sure. That's half the battle, like showing up, doing the work, getting those things done. If you don't do that, that all decides with D, another D. Make a decision. This is what I'm going to do. And then you stick to what you decided that you're going to do.
Make the decision.
Yeah.
Guys, think about how often we talk about that, whether it's myself, whether it's Caroline, whether it's a guest that comes on here. Do you hear like how often that make a decision phrase comes up? That's what it all starts out. I put a post up on Facebook a couple of weeks ago and it says, look, if you're going through something, it will soon end. Make the decision to make it end sooner than later. right? So when I was sick the other day, on Monday, I made a decision. I'm like, look, all right, this is BS. I'm not gonna go through this the entire week. I'm gonna give myself 48 hours to get this over with. Like you can put a time frame on any of this stuff. So I said, okay, well, Ty, what are some of the things that you're not doing right now? Well, maybe I'm not resting enough. Let me go in and get my butt to rest, right? Maybe I'm not drinking enough water. Let me drink more water. I'm not taking my wellness formula. So I went in and started really taking my wellness formula more, right? I started to listen to personal development. I started to talk to myself. Look, I'm giving yourself 48 hours, Tuesday night, you're going to be done or else. And I didn't know what the or else was, right? Sometimes you got to add something to the or else, but I just said or else. So Willie, making a decision, your A, B, C, D formula, A, action, B, C, continue to show up, D, do the work, E, execute, right? All of that is wrapped into making the decision. Michelle Runs just wrote that down. Caroline just wrote it down as well. All right. I think that we're going to see that A, B, C, D, E formula around. So guys, go in, post in the Facebook group. Make sure that you sign up for the Micro Office Challenge, tycohen.com/MOC. We'll see you there. Study marketing. Start paying attention to everything that you see. When you go into the stores, look at how they market price points. Look at how they market scarcity this week only. On sale, right? Look at how they market with different colors. Look at how they market with different titles. Look at how they market as far as placement. When you walk into the store, start looking at where things are placed, strategically placed so that they can catch your eye. When you're at the counter, look at things as far as how they're placed so that they can catch your eye. Everything is marketing on this world, even when you met your husband or you met your wife or you met your girlfriend or whatever it might have been. Everything is marketing here, right? I had to market to Caroline to get her on this show here, believe it or not.
No, you didn't. It was the other way around. What are you talking about?
I said, Caroline, my marketing was, please, we need you on the show. That was it. That was my form of marketing.
I've just, well, a couple of things. I glitched again and then swore, so I apologize if you heard that.
Yeah, I guess. Hey,
I put a quote in the, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I put the quote for the day in the chat as well, because I didn't add that in at the beginning. So quality content means content that is packed with clear utility and is brimming with inspiration, and it has relentless empathy for the audience. I'll pop that in the chat there, because I said if people heard me.
All right.
Have a great day, everyone.
All right, guys, have a good one. This has been fun. As you can tell, we don't want to leave, but we're going to leave. Willie, this has been amazing. I'll see you. Bye, Caroline. Have a good one.
Take care.
Right, Darlene, we'll see you. Nancy Weatherford, we'll see you. Shannon, we'll see you. Philip Reese, we will see you. All right, Barbara Parker, good luck on the move. I think you just said that you moved back to the country, so really cool. We'll see you there as well. And guys, we'll see you on Monday. Study marketing. And then on Monday, let's talk about some of the things that you notice. So Caroline, let's do that. So on marketing, on Monday will be marketing. So Monday we'll talk about marketing. Pay attention to the things that you've noticed as you are online, as you are offline, you're in the stores. And then on Monday, we'll just have an entire session on marketing. We'll see you. Stay well. Bye-bye.
Great. See you then. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Willie.